מההתחלה עם השם שלי? אוקיי. My name is Sarit and I'm the Jewish co-director of Ma'apach Tarir, a feminist Israeli... My name is Sarit and I'm the Jewish co-director of Ma'apach Tarir, a feminist Jewish Palestinian NGO that works with communities in the periphery of Israel. Ma'apach Tarir started 20 years ago, almost 20 years ago, with a student protest in Jerusalem against the raising of tuition, a protest that succeeded. And the students that led this protest felt that they found out something new that they wanted to share with the world. They didn't want to give it up. If they organize, if they come together, they have power and they can change the reality around them. So with this new knowledge, they went to a neighborhood in Jerusalem. They looked around where they were needed, and they went to the Katamoning, a neighborhood in Jerusalem, and came with big ideas to the people of the Katamoning and said, we know what you need to do in order to have more power, in order to change things. And the residents of the Katamoning, mainly mothers, looked at them and said, what are you talking about? We have other needs completely. Our everyday life are very difficult. What we need is actually some kind of a place for our kids to be after school, to learn, to get a good education. So some kind of a negotiation started going on between the students who had big ideals and wanted to change the world and the everyday needs in the periphery of Israel. And when we're speaking about periphery in Israel, we're speaking about a socioeconomic kind of periphery, a geographical one, a national one sometimes. The students, in this negotiation, the students who started Ma'apach Tarir agreed to change. And I think this is really something that is very true about Ma'apach Tarir even today. It's an organization that listens to the field, that changes with it. Listen to what the field really needs and tries to grow some kind of an organization from it. And they said, okay, we'll build a learning center for your kids. It will never be for money, but it's not free. You, the parents, actually the mothers, you have to participate. And so the mothers started to take part in this center. At first with very small things, bringing food for all the kids, maybe trying to help the students in keeping the kids quiet, in making sure that everybody's getting enough attention. And slowly, in all of Ma'apach communities, who grew slowly, the women became a group of their own. A group that started to recognize needs that were going beyond the needs of their children only. Maybe looking at their own needs. Maybe looking at things they never even dreamt of because they didn't have time or because nobody told them it was possible. One good example for such a development is our project, Second Opportunity, is the Nut Shniya, which started in Jerusalem with our Jewish community. And today, in 2016, it's also in Tamra, our Palestinian community. A group of women looked at the students in the learning center and said, we want to be students too. And so with our coordinator and with educational institutions that liked the idea, they built a plan for the women to go to university. Out of 31 women in Kiryat Yovel in Jerusalem, 27 graduated. And today we have 27 women in Tamra who just finished their first year. So this is the way that Ma'apach Tarir works. It goes from the everyday need, from the fabric of life, and grows from it to something that is completely new. דיברתי המון, בסדר? אוקיי. הזדמנות שנייה, בלה בלה בלה. יש עוד משהו אחד שאני אגיד, ואתה תחליט אם אתה משתמש בזה או לא, בסדר?
גם אני רוצה...
מה?
אולי כאילו זה משפט סיכום.
משפט סיכום?
זה משהו, אתה יודע, קצת יותר... דוגמה אישית, נגיד.
דוגמה אישית?
דוגמה אישית.
בסדר. מה שאני אומרת עכשיו הוא לא בנימה אישית, אבל זה מה שיש לי על קצה הלשון, אחרי זה יבוא לי. בסדר? שנייה, פשוט תזרום, כי זה לא... חם לי. The goal of Ma'apach Tarir is maybe the goal of all NGOs, but the goal is to not be needed. We are working towards a world where we are no longer needed, where the government and the institutions that have public money take care of the periphery of Israel. this is the goal of Ma'apach Torah. Until then, and it seems like it's going to be a while, we are going to try and create more and more communities, make them stronger, and make them recognize that when they come together, they have much more power. עכשיו יש לי משהו אחד להגיד, שלא אמרתי אם הוא לא אישי, אבל הוא כן חשוב. מהפך תריר emerges from the understanding that grassroots work is necessary. It's not sufficient, but it is necessary. And from a second understanding that the peripheries in Israel, the communities in the periphery in Israel, are completely divided. They do not come together because they are told that they have different interests. When you bring the periphery in Israel together, very quickly, very different communities recognize that they have mutual interests, that they have a lot to talk about, and that in the fabric of life, when they meet, they are not so different. It's an everyday life kind of magic. בסדר? אני לא יודעת אם הייתי מאוד ברורה, תשתמש אם כן ואם לא אז לא, זה משהו שעלה לי הבוקר. מה אני אגיד בנימה אישית? למה באתי למהפך תריר? Okay. What is special about our work, I think, is that it really breaks new ground in a very surprising way. I didn't even know when I came to Ma'apach Tarir that I had these boundaries in my mind. When, for example, I heard about the Second Opportunity Project, at first I couldn't believe that it was happening. That really mothers with so many difficulties to get into university with all the bureaucracy that it requires and the fact that they have to many times have to take care of children, etc., could do something like that. I didn't know how flexible reality can be when you work together. What Ma'apach Tarir does is really show us, the staff, and the women we work with, how much power we have. Join us. בסדר?
אולי ננסה עוד פעם אחת.
כן.
ודווקא יותר קצר.
בסדר.
יש לך כי זה היה טוב דווקא.
בסדר.
אפילו לא צריך את ההזדמנות שנייה. למה אני ממש שצריך לדבר על הכוח.
פשוט צריכה לתת דוגמה לכמה באמת, אני באמת שהם אמרו לי את זה בהתחלה, חשבתי לעצמי, על מה הם מדברות? אני אתן דוגמה אחרת, היא פשוט יותר קצרה. Ma'apach Tarir, what is special about our work in Ma'apach Tarir is that it really breaks new ground in an extremely surprising way. You might think that a Palestinian student in a Jewish community in the periphery of Israel will create something extremely uncomfortable. And you learn that Palestinian students teach math to Jewish kids in Kiryat HaYovel, and they are part of the fabric of life, a natural, positive, lasting part of their lives. The way that the fabric of life in Israel can actually contain so many diverse identities is really much wider than I thought. I think this is the big lesson of Ma'apach Tarir. If you try to widen reality, if you try to change it, you might be able. סליחה, יש תינוק מאחוריך, אני פשוט... זה תינוק לא מושגח שהולך מאחוריך. זה שייך לך הדבר הזה? סליחה, תוך כדי שהלכת היא פשוט עשתה לי חן דלך זה גם היה ארוך, סליחה. מה אנחנו אומרים? יאיר, תפקס אותי שנייה ואני אגיד לך איזה משפט סיכום מהמם. מה אנחנו אומרים?
עוד פעם, שדיברת על זה כאילו על הכוח, זה מה ש...
כוח של לבוא ביחד, כן. נכון. כן, כן, community. כן, כן. אני אגיד משהו על Jewish and Palestinian, נגיד את זה ככה וזהו. נלך על זה, מה יכול להיות? מותר לנו להגיד Jewish and Palestinian. Jewish and Palestinian communities in the periphery of Israel are made to believe that they have nothing in common. That they are enemies. And it is amazing. I think that's what's amazing about Ma'apach Tarir. It's amazing to see what happens when they do come together. Very quickly, they learn that they have a lot of mutual interests. Very quickly, they connect to each other. Very quickly, they learn that their everyday lives are not so different. That when they come together, they can change reality for the better for themselves and that it is within their interest to come together and be...
זה היה טוב, מעולה, אבל...
מה? לא היה טוב! חוזרת לעצמי, come together.
כיוון מעולה, אבל תגידי את זה.
כן.
They share, you know, they share the same struggles.
כן, 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 כן. פשוט חוזרת על עצמי. יאללה, בוא נזרום, נקווה לטוב. Jewish and Palestinian communities in the periphery of Israel are taught that they have nothing in common. In fact, that they are enemies. That their lives are divided physically and that there's no reason for them to communicate. When they do come together, it's amazing how quickly they find out that they have mutual struggles, mutual wishes, how similar they are really, and how much power they have when they decide to cooperate. I think this is the amazing thing about Ma'apach Tarir. It touches on this dichotomy in the Israeli society. בסדר?
Fix.